Sound Booth Theater and Pinnacle Entertainment Group presents The Many Faces of Destruction, written by Clint Black, narrated by Jeff Hayes.
I'll see what I can do about replenishing your lost members. Until then, you're the new leader.
Dr. Destruction cut off communication with the newly promoted commander of the Resistance cell. Or so it seemed. In fact, he was still listening. He'd built undetectable video and audio devices into the very equipment he'd provided them. It was necessary. His soldiers were criminals, thieves, and even murderers. Supervillains. They were the scum of the earth, but they were all that was left. The alien invaders had all but destroyed the world's super-heroes. Dr. Destruction listened quietly. He was the leader of the Resistance, of Omega. Of all his powers, gathering information was the most important. He listened thoughtfully for a full minute, but heard nothing untoward. A quiet cough roused him from his surveillance.
Professor Stockholm. Right on time. Excellent.
Yes, sir, the man stammered, his unease clear in his shaky voice and trembling hands. The man was tall, dressed in a white lab coat over a nondescript brown suit. He was plain and unassuming, a man who would be overlooked if not for the black eye patch bisecting a puckered scar from his forehead to his chin. Destruction let him tremble for 5 seconds before continuing.
Our new Omega cell. I presume you heard the results?
Yes, sir. We lost one. I'm sorry. The professor swallowed. I did say it was a possibility.
You did.
Dr. Destruction took 3 deliberate steps towards the other man.
A slight possibility, as I recall.
A sheen of sweat appeared on the man's head as Destruction moved closer.
Your work is very important to me, Professor.
The doctor continued.
I have to deal with many Omega cells, every single one with its own unique individuals and interrelationships. Knowing the precise psychology of how to deal with each of them, which face of Dr. Destruction will motivate them the most, is essential to repelling the invaders who have taken over our world. A world that should be mine, I might add.
The man relaxed almost imperceptibly as the assurance of his importance to Dr. Destruction was validated.
Of course, every soldier is important to the success of this war, and it is,
he paused, lowering his voice,
inconvenient to my careful plans to lose even one, especially when it's one of the surviving heroes, someone willing to fight for the world with so little prodding, unless you happened to push exactly the wrong buttons with them.
Dr. Destruction walked slowly around and behind the professor.
Certainly we might have to retrain them to be soldiers instead of heroes. Put them in situations or groups that will harden them to do what needs to be done. But it's still easier than getting a psychotic to follow orders, never knowing if he might grow bored and kill his team some night.
He moved past Professor Stockholm, purposefully putting his back to him, as he looked up at the various screens showing Omega cells in their headquarters, homes, vehicles, and on missions.
Sometimes we lose one. The psychotic can't be changed. A mole is sacrificed. A mission is suicidal, but must succeed. Each one is a decision I make.
Dr. Destruction spun back to face the professor.
I make, and no one else.
Sweat ran in rivulets down the professor's face as Dr. Destruction strode up to him. Barely an inch away, The doctor's gauntleted finger traced down Stockholm's scar from head to chin.
I know who gave you this, and an eye for an eye will not be tolerated in my organization unless I am the one taking the eye.
He moved his finger over to the professor's remaining good eye to emphasize his point.
You are important, but no one is irreplaceable. In fact, I've already contacted your protege, Misbehavior, about a possible job opening.
Dr. Destruction's voice lowered to a growl.
If you cross me again, I won't kill you. I will destroy you.
Professor Stockholm nodded fitfully in understanding. Dr. Destruction lowered his finger, but did not move.
Now get out of my sight before I change my mind.
The man left the room quickly, his ego as empty as his eye socket. The leader of Earth's resistance watched the door close, shook his head, and then turned to face the opposite wall. He triggered another control in his armor, and the wall slid away to reveal a hidden corridor. Standing just inside was a woman dressed in ripped jeans and a torn t-shirt with multicolored hair.
Well done, Misbehavior. He reacted exactly as you said he would.
Dr. Destruction paused to glance at a newly activated video screen showing Professor Stockholm walking shakily down a hallway.
The job is yours.
And my payment? The woman asked in a sultry and silky voice inconsistent with her punk appearance.
Guaranteed. Double-check all of the professor's psychological evaluations from now on. If he crosses me again, his life is forfeit. And if he doesn't cross me, then when the war is over, his life is forfeit.
The doctor added coldly.
Either way, you get your retribution eventually.
The woman nodded with a ruthless smile.
Now,
Dr. Destruction said, pointing to the screens,
let me tell you about some of our operatives and their upcoming missions.